Good evening, everyone, and welcome to democracy. This is the real thing, and we should all be damn proud of ourselves for having open town meetings. My name is John Miller, and I'm your town moderator. It's good to see you all. Mashpee is one of 260 municipalities in the Commonwealth that benefit from open town meetings. Democracy does not get better than this. With that thought in mind, 2026 marks the 250th birthday of our nation. It should not surprise you that people of Mashpee played a role toward the nation's independence. The Revolutionary War, of course, started in Lexington and Concord on April 19th, 1775, with the shot heard around the world. It did not officially end until 1783, when the Treaty of Paris was signed and Britain conceded that the United States is an independent nation. A lot happened in between. War is never a happy event, and Mashpee's role in the pursuit of freedom was not exempt from the ultimate sacrifice. Long before we were incorporated as a town in 1870. In view of the nation's 250th year of independence, I've invited two of our respected citizens to share a brief, factual, though bittersweet perspective. Please welcome Richard DeSauger, member of the Mashpee Historical Commission, and David Whedon, the Wampanoag Tribe's Historic Preservation Officer.
On this, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, we want to make note of our nation's celebration and make known the role Mashpee played in the war that brought about our independence.
The American Revolution had a major impact on Mashpee, especially with members of the Wampanoag tribe who made up much of the population and who contributed and sacrificed greatly in helping to achieve our nation's independence. While Mashpee's population was only around 340, some 67 from Mashpee are known to have been in service on the side of the Patriots, a far greater level of patriotism than any other town on Cape Cod.
Some 40 men went directly into the Continental Army. Others marched the Rhode Island Alarm. Others were stationed in the defense of the Elizabeth Islands. 23 Mashpee Wampanoags fought side by side in the June 1778 Battle of Monmouth Courthouse in northern New Jersey. 9 members of the Keita family fought in the war, with 3, Elisha, James, and Joseph, never returning to Mashpee, paying the ultimate sacrifice. Still others marched the defense of neighboring Falmouth during the attack and shelling of that town in April of 1779, successfully preventing the British from landing.
15 Wampanoag never returned, giving the ultimate sacrifice to their new nation, all dying for their new country, still fighting a war of independence that at the time must have seemed hopeless.
Mashpee responded to the call for men in a manner which proved their sturdy devotion to the cause of liberty. Wampanoag veterans returned to Mashpee with life-altering injuries, traumas, and others often denied pensions, while comparatively, English turned American colonial veterans received pensions and were often compensated with land grants for their service in the Continental Army.
Sadly, after the war was over and independence from Great Britain was achieved, those veterans from Mashpee returned home, only to see the Massachusetts government rescind the district status and the Wampanoag again lose their self-governing rights. History reveals life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and equal rights were a deceptive declaration, by no means intended for the Wampanoag.
Reflecting on the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, there can be no doubt of the sacrifice given by Mashpee to the cause of our nation's independence and their profound belief in the promise of freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much, thus making this a very respectful time for our customary Pledge of Allegiance, perhaps with even more spirit this time. Please stand if you're able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated, and let's pause for a few moments of silence for a purpose of your choosing. Thank you. Now, a few housekeeping matters. If you are a Mashpee voter, you have in your possession a blue and white clicker device. Looks like that with a blue ribbon. By now, most of you know about it and how it works. How many of you here tonight are first-timers for the clicker? Well, thank you for coming. Very simply, you see two options on the clicker, yes or no. When I call for the vote, by simply saying vote now, you have 15 seconds to press one button or the other, or neither if you choose to abstain. You'll see the vote tallies increment on the TV monitors, followed by the totals and whether or not the article passes. And I will announce the results at the end of each vote. Anyone have any questions? For the benefit of newcomers, would you like a short trial question? Sure. Okay, here we go. The question is, do you think the recent Red Sox manager and coaching changes will enhance the team's season performance? Vote yes if you want to say yes or no for no. Ready? Vote now. It's about the only team we have left to root for. Two 222 of the 319 voters say, I don't think so. Well, we'll find out in another 100 or so games. All right, we good on the voting part? If you wish to speak on a motion at tonight's meeting, please move to one of the three microphones and wait for me to recognize you. I'll recognize you if you're displaying your clicker, suggest wearing it around your neck or waving it in the air. And it indicates that you're a registered voter, so I'll ask you to state your name and address. Non-voters who are property owners in Mashpee are also welcome to speak if you like. And you won't have one of these clickers because you're not a voter here, but you'll be able to speak if you move to the microphone. The town clerk or her staff will furnish you with a blue index card, which is my cue that you are permitted to speak. Municipal department heads may also speak at any time upon request, and that's permitted in our charter that department heads and town officials can do that, whether they live in the town or not. I called your attention to the town meeting rules that appear on the last 2 pages of the Blue Book. Please be sure to follow them. And does anyone have any questions so far on what I've said to now? I also want to acknowledge Ed Gilday, as usual, for being our deputy moderator and available in each meeting if necessary. And he is here somewhere, probably outside. We made arrangements tonight, if it was an overflow crowd, for additional seating outside the hall that's being reserved primarily for those who are non-voters. And if one of those has property here and wants to speak, they're welcome to come in, as I just announced, approach a microphone, and they'll be recognized as a non-voter in the town that does pay taxes here. Otherwise, we'll assume that everyone that's seated here has a clicker and is able to vote. And maybe there's room for the folks outside. If they do want to come in, there are more seats available. When you leave tonight, do so through that door that you entered on. Make sure your clicker is collected. What is known about each of these numbered clickers is who it was assigned to, in case follow-up is necessary, if you get my drift. But please note there is no record kept, digital or otherwise, of how anyone actually voted using the clicker. Don't forget the polls on Saturday are open from 7 till 8 p.m. The ballot includes essential questions relevant to several articles that we'll be getting to on tonight's agenda. as well as election of town officials. In closing, bless you, questions and respectful discussion are encouraged. Brevity is a virtue. Try to avoid reiterating what someone else has already said, and we encourage everyone to adhere to the 4 C's. Be concise, civil, constructive, and courteous. All right, and so we begin with the special town meeting, which I now call to order and ask for a motion from Select Board Member Wyman Colombo. Ms. Wyman Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to dispense the reading of the special town meeting warrant articles.
Second.
No discussion, I'm going to assume. I think we can safely do a voice vote on this, so I'll ask for all those in favor to say yes. Yes. Those opposed? Unanimous. Moving on to Article number 1 of the special town meeting warrant, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 1 as printed in the warrant with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 1 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 1 by a vote of 6-0.
Any discussion on Article 1? Seeing or hearing none, let's move on to the vote. On Article number 1, vote now. Article 1 passes 357 to 16. Thank you. Article number 2, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 2 as printed in the warrant with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 2 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 2 by a vote of 6-0.
Any discussion on Article 2? Seeing none, pick up your clickers and vote now. Article 2 passes 377 to 24. Article number 3, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 3 as printed in the warrant with the exception of the phrase "or take any action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 3 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article number 3 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 3. Seeing none, vote now. Thank you. Article number 3 passes 366 to 28. Article number 4, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for the opportunity to read this long motion. I move the town vote to authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the Select Board, to borrow the sum of $12 million pursuant to General Law, Chapter 44, Section 7 or 8, or any other enabling authority, and issue bonds and notes of the town therefore, and that the said sum is appropriated for purpose of paying the cost of planning and design of wastewater collection, treatment, and effluent recharge facilities and initiatives in the town of Mashpee, and all costs and expenses incidental and related thereto, including costs related to the acquisition of necessary easements and other interests in real property as recommended by the Capital Improvement Program Committee, and to authorize the Select Board to acquire by purchase, gift, and/or eminent domain, such easements or other interests in real property as needed for these projects, and to execute all documents necessary for such acquisitions and take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out the project, provided, however, that this vote shall be expressly subject to and contingent upon approval by the voters of the town of a ballot question to exclude from the limitations of Proposition 2.5, so-called General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, the amounts required to pay the principal and interest on any bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness issued hereunder. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 4 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Mr. Moderator, the Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 4 by a vote of 6-0.
Is there any discussion on Article 4?
Yes, Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Ms.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. In 2021, Mashpee voters took the first step toward restoring our waters after decades of pollution and neglect from Title V septic systems. On a chilly night at that May's town meeting, Phase 1 was approved unanimously. Since then, the town has delivered. Phase 1 is complete, Phase 2 construction is underway, and funding is secured for the Mashpee-Wakeby cluster system. When these voter-approved projects are finished, Mashpee will prevent 46% of nitrogen from reaching Papaneset Bay, and we'll stop phosphorus from more than 200 homes from entering Mashpee-Wakeby Pond. This is real progress of which Mashpee voters can be proud. But in the Wacoit watershed, we have not yet begun to reduce pollution from septic systems. Wacoit Bay, once a highly productive estuary, continues to degrade year after year. Tonight, we can start turning that around. Article 4 proposes $12 million for the Phase 3 design of a centralized wastewater system that will serve over 1,000 homes and reduce nitrogen in the Wacoit Bay watershed by 30%. Phase 3 will also limit phosphorus entering Johns and Ashumet ponds. It will reduce excess nutrients entering the Quashnet River. Article 4 has been thoroughly vetted and unanimously approved by both the Select Board and the Finance Committee. I know Article 4 is complex, and with complexity comes questions and misconceptions. Let me directly address two common misconceptions. Misconception 1 is that we should have a full design before we authorize funding to develop that design. Fact is, we have a preliminary conceptual design, including the proposed location for the treatment facility, the recharge area, the collection pipe, and the collection pipes. This conceptual design has been presented to the Sewer Commission, the Conservation Commission, and at a meeting at Mashpee TV. All these sessions were open to the public, have been broadcasted, are available through Mashpee TV's YouTube station, are available via social media, and are described in the Mashpee Enterprise. Article 4 funds the extensive, detailed field work, the modeling and permitting necessary to turn that conceptual design into a construction-ready project. In every prior phase, Phase 1, Phase 2, the Mashpee-Wakeby cluster system, funding the design came first. Without an executable design, the town cannot apply for 0% loans and 28.3% forgiveness from the State and Clean Water Trust. That has saved the town taxpayers millions of dollars in approved projects. It's important to understand that if we do not fund the design work now, we stop Phase 3 before it starts. Article 4 will allocate funding for the design only. Once the town has a final design, Mashpee voters will have the opportunity to vote again and decide if the project is worth the cost. The second misconception is that the town is relying entirely on sewers to solve our water quality problems. This is inaccurate. Innovative alternative, or IA systems, will continue to be integrated as the work to reclaim our waters moves forward. In some areas, IA systems may be the most practical approach. But make no mistake, centralized wastewater treatment is the single most effective way to reduce the nitrogen and phosphorus that's polluting our bays, ponds, and rivers. In our two main watersheds, treatment plants and collection systems offer the strongest path to restoring water quality at scale. Our water quality goals cannot be met without the system we propose to design through Article 4. Mashpee's plan is science-based. It's the right way forward. And yes, it's costly. We understood that in 2021, and we understand it now. That's why the town has worked to capitalize on critical state funding cycles that reduce burdens on taxpayers, including, as I mentioned, 0% interest loans and 28.3% principal forgiveness. We've accomplished a lot in the Papaneset watershed with the support of Mashpee voters. Now it's the time to bring that same commitment to the Wacoit watershed. A yes vote in Article 4 is a vote to begin restoration, thoughtfully, transparently, and with voters retaining control over each step. I know the town manager will walk us through the financial implications of Phase 3 and thus Article 4. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Further discussion on Article 4. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Sean Reed, 84 Hoop
Could you get a little closer to the mic, please?
My name is Sean Reed, 84 Hoop Pole Road. I am a grade 6 wastewater operator and monitoring operation and maintenance coordinator for enhanced IA septic systems. I agree that protecting our bays, restoring water quality, and meeting our state-mandated nitrogen-reducing goals is not optional. It's necessary for the future of Mashpee. Article 4 is requesting $12 million to carry out a design phase plan adopted in 2021. It uses old data to drive an over $100 million construction project. The town's own consultants admitted that the design is based on old data and is in flux and outdated. The most expensive project is one that is over-engineered. A no vote on Article 4 does not kick the can down the road. It mandates the town to stop and reevaluate. Since 2021, nitrogen-reducing technology has advanced significantly, and our understanding of these watersheds have changed. In less degraded areas like mine, new enhanced IA technologies can achieve the same mechanical nitrogen reduction as sewer systems at a fraction of the cost and time. These areas are perfect candidates for new enhanced IA technology septic systems, similar to the Shubal Pond project in Marston Mills. That project is a real-world success that includes enhanced nitrogen-reducing technology. Massachusetts DEP advocates for this style alternative, a hybrid approach. A no vote tells the town to bring us a plan with 2026 data at 2026 cost. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 4? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote. You have to go to the mic. Yes, that was announced earlier. And it's one of the rules printed in the back of the book, which we invite you to read.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Patrick Simpson, 65 Harwich Road. First question is, so where does the funding come from for the folks that were forced to put in sewer? I'm in phase 1, which is not complete yet, by the way. Where does the funding come for that? And in speaking with the Article 30, I know we're not there yet. Where does the funding come from for the folks that are forced to be remove their septic and hook up the town sewer versus the folks that have to get their Title V septic failures fixed?
You're invited to return when we get to Article 30, but the first part of your question may have an answer.
Do you want me to take that? With regard to Phase 1, I believe almost all of the 437 homes have been connected. I know we may be a little shy of that. The treatment plant has been built and most homes have been connected. With regard to financial avenues to pay back those loans or the cost of connecting, we have the Aqua Fund that runs through the county. The Aqua Fund offers 0%, 2%, and 4% loans for qualified homeowners. Everybody, regardless of income, qualifies for that 4% loan.
I thought you said 0%.
Correct. At 0%, I believe 110% of annual median income is the cutoff for 0% for those loans. So there is funding available. The Aqua Fund loans are loans that residents can take out for 20 years. And as I said, if you're 110% or less of annual median income, you would be eligible for one of those loans.
So then you said there was going to be 0% loans across the board. You didn't have 0%, 2%, or 4% up there, correct?
May I respond, Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Okay. When I was talking about 0% financing, 0% financing is what the town and its taxpayers will pay for a loan for the construction of the next phase of the sewer. That's what we paid for Phase 1, Phase 2, what we will pay for Mashpee, Wakeby, and what's being proposed for this next phase for Wacoit Bay. That's the 0% financing. That's also the 28.3% forgiveness. Again, the remedy for homeowners is to seek funding through the Aqua Fund.
Okay. Secondly, when do you guys notify folks out-of-pocket expenses that they're going to be required to pay before they go and vote on these things? So in other words, I didn't know, did I miss a meeting or something, or did you guys have anything back in 2021 or whenever it was we voted that told people they were going to have to pay to remove their own stuff?
I'm not sure if I'm hearing two questions. I believe the first.
When do you guys notify homeowners that they're going to have to pay out? When do you notify homeowners of their out-of-pocket expenses before they go and vote for something like this?
Okay.
So I didn't get that notification. That's why I'm asking this question.
So what I know is that beginning back, and I don't want to trip up on the years, but I know beginning well before the treatment plant was built and Phase 1 owners started to be hooked up, that there were numerous conversations that were broadcast publicly with regard to the cost, the average cost. I know this because I did several of those myself. So it was discussed at sewer commission meetings, which are public meetings, which are broadcast on Mashpee TV's YouTube station. It was discussed at various sessions, exactly what the hookup charge would be. One of the things that we were clear about from the very beginning is that it's impossible to give a certain amount for a hookup charge. It depends on the lot itself, what might be in the way, how far back the house is set, and various other factors. So initially, we used other towns near us for a cost estimate for those. But those have been, those public meeting documents or PSAs have been available for a number of years.
Wouldn't it be better and suited better for the public and the residents to get notification in the mail or something like that before?
Sir, I would suggest that you limit the Q&A session here to relevant matters on this article.
I think it
not
is
what
relevant.
might have happened in the past or not. I think if you have questions of the nature that you just asked, it might be better directed outside of this forum to the Sewer Commission.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you.
I guess not. So we're ready to vote on Article 4. This article does require a 2/3 vote to pass. and you may vote now. It appears that the vote passes, 263 to 112. We have 463 voters here tonight, according to Town Clerk Jessica Colpitz. And if there's a Janet Ryder somewhere in the hall, the Town Clerk also has your credit card, which she promises not to use before the end of the meeting. Article number 5, Ms. Wyman-Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 5 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto."
Second.
The Select Board recommends approval of Article 5 by the vote of 5-0.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 5 by a vote of 6-0.
Is there any discussion on Article 5? Hearing none, vote now. Article 5 passes 369 to 41. Article number 6, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 6 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 6 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 6 by a vote of 7-0.
Any discussion on Article 6? Hearing none, vote now. Article 6 passes 361 to 41. Article number 7, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 7 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 7 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 7 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 7? Hearing none, vote now. Article 7 is approved, 377 to 37. Article number 9, Mr. Richardson. Sorry. Article number 8, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 8 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 8 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 8 by a vote of 6-0.
Any discussion on Article 8? This is how I try to move town meeting along. We just skip an article every once in a while. All right, Article number 8, vote now. Article 8 passes 349 to 39. Now Article 9, Mr. Richardson.
I move the town vote to approve Article 9 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 9 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 9 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 9. Hearing none, vote now. Article 9 passes 379 to 32. Article 10, Ms. Wyman Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 10 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto."
The Select Board recommends approval of Article 10 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 10 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 10. Hearing none, vote now. Article 10 passes 367 to 53. Article number 11, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 11 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 11 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 11 by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 11? Hearing none, vote now. Article 11 passes 341 to 58. Article 12, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 12 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," and authorize the Select Board to enter into a grant agreement with the said First Pentecostal Church, setting forth the terms and conditions of the grant. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 12 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 12 by a vote of 6-0.
Is there any discussion on Article 12? Here, yes, Article 12?
Please.
Yeah, proceed.
Hi, I'm Brian Hyde, 7 Bryan's Lane. I'm here to represent the CPC, the Community Preservation Committee. These next 2 articles, one is for the Pentecostal Church and the other is for the Amos House down on Great Neck Road South. I'd like to address those, if that's possible.
You can address Article 12.
Article 12, thank you. Okay, so the Community Preservation Committee is a member of 9 members. Our goal, one of the goals is housing, recreation, open space. I represent the Historical Commission, and our goal is for the acquisition and rehabilitation of any historical properties within the town of Mashpee. So I'd like to say good evening, and like I said, my name is Brian Hyde. I'm representing the Community Preservation Committee, the Mashpee Historical Commission, and the Mashpee Historic District Commission. The Pentecostal Church is in the Historic District Commission, in the Historical District. I'd like to thank Rosemary Burns, who has done so much to research and document the history of Mashpee's unique town, and some of the ideas I'm going to share with you tonight. We met with the selectmen back on March 8th, and on that same day, there's an article in the New York Times that talked about preserving past projects such as churches and historical buildings. So both the Horatio Amos House, which is the next Article 13, and the First Pentecostal Church of Christ on Article 12 have been deemed historically significant to the town of Mashpee. Both historical projects portray a method of reclaiming Mashpee's past while navigating the present. I've always stated that Mashpee has a rich history and also a very bright future. So these warrant articles are strikingly similar to the article I mentioned in the New York Times entitled Restoring St. Peter's Grand Past to Survive the Present. So some find fulfillment in local history and architectural preservation, the politics of small deeds, meaning that education often, through beauty, often helps. So the author said that heritage preservation and local history are areas where it's still possible to exert some influence. It is a manifestation of civil society. Activists grow frustrated trying to stop big projects. They try to stop skyscrapers or shopping centers or fast food restaurants. And they had a hard time stopping those larger projects. But they found that by focusing on small things right around them, like the Pentecostal Church, like the Amos House on Great Neck Road South, they found things that they could actually preserve. So for some of you, you may know that here, the forest of Mashpee, the cleared fields, Mashpee's land, was sold to speculators beginning in the early 1800s. This was an Indian town. It still is an Indian town, right? It's the land of the Wampanoag. Back in the 1800s, it was 95 to 100% Wampanoag. In 1819, we had land records that show all of Mashpee's landowners. In 1842, 20 years before we became a town, land distribution occurred. Every single resident in the town of Mashpee that was over the age of 18 received 60 acres, 60 acres, and the town was divided. Eventually, it's passed down and sold and ultimately divided and subdivided, and much of it is built upon to what we have recording today, leaving very little semblance to what Mashpee was in the 1800s. By preserving the Pentecostal Church, we'll be able to preserve some of Mashpee's unique history. And on Article 13, driving down the Horatio Amos House on the way to South Cape Beach.
We'll get to that after this.
Thank you. Starts a day for relaxation, thinking about the past. The same goes for the drive of the Pentecostal Church. There's more to Mashpee than new commercial projects, and these buildings represent Mashpee's uniqueness. So the Pentecostal Church, if you did not know, was built in the 1830s. And the two properties are tied together because the owner of the great Amos House was also one of the founding members of the Pentecostal Church on 130. And our job tonight is to hopefully save both those buildings. But I do want to tell you a little bit about the Pentecostal Church.
I think we've pretty much reached the limit of the point
All
you're
right,
trying
thank
to
you.
make.
Then I'll stop there. But just so you, one last episode. At the time of the buildup of World War II, black people were not allowed to socialize on the base. They came into Mashpee, and the Pentecostal Church was the one that opened their doors to not only our African-American citizens, but our Portuguese, our Cape Verdean, white settlers, and of course, 95% of the community, which was Wampanoag at that time. The Historical Commission requests respectfully that you support this project and that we maintain the building to keep it as is.
Thank you, Mr. Hyde.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Irene Ledwith at 3 Starboard Drive. So I need some explanation on this, on why we're using public money as a grant to go to a church or a public or a private house. But isn't it a slippery slope to be using our public money when we need affordable housing and everything else to go to a church? As a parishioner of a church in Falmouth, I know it is in a historical district, and we applied to the Herman Foundation, a private foundation, to help restore a very old, beautiful building. So why are we giving our hard-earned tax money to a church where there are other avenues? And again, can you just tell me if there's a precedent behind this or what the reasoning is for this? Because it feels like a slippery slope.
I assume the question is not rhetorical. Does anyone have an answer?
I feel comfortable answering. The Community Preservation Act is a Massachusetts general law that matches town-derived funds, and the CPC this is a CPC article where they're accessing some of the funds that are derived from that general law. The Community Preservation Committee has reviewed the project. It meets the criteria. There's 4 kind of buckets that the funds can be used on: recreational space, open space, affordable housing, and historic preservation. And so this meets one of the criteria as being a historical building. It does lie within the historic district. It is determined eligible for national listing by the State Historical Commission. And so it meets the requirements, and it serves the purpose of the intended funds to apply for this type of purpose.
Thank you. Middle microphone. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Ava Costello, 58 Santuapun Road. I'm chair of the Mashpee Historical Commission. The Historical Commission discussed this particular issue of use of public funds, even though we only had to determine whether the property was of historic value. We double-checked with the state of Massachusetts, and churches were approved to receive CPC funds as long as the funds were not used for religious objects such as stained glass. And since this is to preserve the outside of the building to what it was in when they opened the building, it met, in our minds, both requirements. Thank you.
Is there anything that you need to add, Mr. Hyde, in 30 seconds?
No.
Okay, I didn't know why you were standing there otherwise. So we're ready to vote? No further discussion? All those, well, I don't even have to ask that. So if you're ready, vote now on Article 12. Article 12 passes 278 to 147. Article 13, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 13 as printed in the warrant with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," and authorize the Select Board to accept a historic preservation restriction in said property and enter into a grant agreement with the owners of the property setting forth the additional terms and conditions of the grant. The Select Board does not recommend approval of Article 13 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee does not recommend approval of Article 13 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 13. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Jessie Little Doe Baird, 24 Horseshoe Bend Way. Just a couple points here. The first point I want to make is in response to the statement that the lands here were split up in the mid-1800s, 60 acres per person, and deeded, and then sold away. I want to make the point that the tribe, my grandparents, voted against that. They voted against citizenship, and when those 60 acres were given out in the deeds, that was a violation of the Trade and Non-Intercourse Act, federal law, and that is the result of the land going out of people's hands, not the tribe wanting that to happen and wanting the land to go away, number one. Number two, this is different than Article 12 because this is someone's home that they want to make repairs on. This is not a church. Yes, the building is old, but it went out of Wampanoag hands that same illegal way as so many other properties in this town did. And we're still here, and we're all living together, and we understand that we can't unring a bell, and we have to live together in peace. But I am not going to stand there and have the lily gilded when that's not really how things went here. I feel like I have to speak up, and I don't feel like we should be paying for this man's house repairs. And I don't think that the CPC representative, if he's had any personal connection with this property at all, should be advocating for that either. I don't think that that's appropriate. Thank you.
I'll let you go next.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Grace Rogers. I live at 59 Oregon Road. I am a historic preservationist. I have a degree in historic preservation, and I've spent a portion of my career working in municipal historic commissions and committees. Surprisingly, as a preservationist, I do not support this article for the statements that have been said before this evening. I don't believe that public dollars should be going into private home ownership. I do understand with CPC that you can have a deed restriction, meaning going forward that this would have to be a historical property, which would need to meet certain criteria in perpetuity. That is something that is commonly deed restricted on most CPC articles for historic properties. It was also stated that a plaque would be posted out front. The house is set back by about 60 feet. Not many people, unfortunately, would even recognize the plaque, and typically plaques are reserved for National Registered Historic Properties, of which was not recommended by PAL in 1999 upon the Macris survey that is available to all of us online. Furthermore, as a preservationist, I believe that history and culture is for the people, and it is owned by the people. That being said, this is going into private investment. There was an article in February in the Enterprise where the owner stated that he would be happy to post this property on whatever list is appropriate for that dwelling. It was already listed in 1999 and had gone through their survey process for that, so that has been said and done. Furthermore, this is not something that can be ever celebrated by the public. This is an individual that has stated in that same article that he will go on to make this potentially a single-family dwelling. Go housing, we do need it, but not in this case, or it would be a business space or for an apartment. Although that's great and a great source of adaptive reuse, which I always encourage, I do not think that nearly $500,000 investment should be going into a private property. When you're driving by, do you know what the Second Empire architectural significance of the dwelling is? No. Is there money going into education or to programming to understand who Horatio Amos was and what he did for oysters during his time? No. Will you know that by walking by or driving by? No. CPC funds should be something that is invested into the public for the public to enjoy. I do understand, believe me as a preservationist, how expensive it is to restore and maintain historic dwellings. It's incredibly expensive, but I do echo the sentiments of the woman before me. It does feel like to preserve this gentleman's foundation, he's coming to CPC to do that rather than shoring up the building and going through another cultural resource management fund to do that.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I think you've made your point quite eloquently, and I'd
Thank
like
you,
to
Mr.
move on.
Moderator.
Thank you. Mr. Hyde, a closing comment.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. So 701 Great Neck Road South, the Horatio Amos home. In 1793, Honorable Nathan Freeman of Sandwich wrote, "Great Neck in Mashpee. There were a great number of Indians formerly on this neck, and it seems now the metropolis of Mashpee. Down the entrance into Seabury, there used to be a tea shop. There was obviously Princess Evening Star trading post. The Amos homestead was there. There was a schoolhouse was there. The trough is still there. It has significant historical value to this community. It was the hub of Mashpee. Between 1830 and 1858, North Mashpee, town hall area, evolved into the town's civic and social center, causing many South Mashpee residents to move north. And as a result, many people located closer to the center of the town because there was a new railroad in Sandwich. Well, some of these homes were even moved. The Parkton home, diagonally across from the Archives building, was broken into the house was broken into three pieces and moved up by logs. And another possible shift for the move to North Mashpee was the hurricane of 1841 that destroyed all of South Mashpee all the way up to Red Brook Road. And many sea captains and whalers also retired at that time. But 5 families remained in South Mashpee. There was the DeGrasse family, the Pocknett family, the Young family, the Keeter family, and the Webcush families. They continued to reside. Eventually, the schoolhouse was closed because there was no need for it, and it was moved over to the tribal cemetery on Meeting House Road, and then eventually to Town
Mr.
Hall.
Hyde, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would anybody here benefit from more history on this particular issue?
That's what my students used to say, too.
Would anybody care to make a motion to move the question? Please quickly stand to the microphone, and we can do that. Whoever wants to do it.
Mr. Moderator, can I say one thing very quickly?
Gutierrez, I make a motion to move this question forward to a vote.
Show of hands. All those in favor? Opposed, say no. The ayes have it. We're going to vote now on Article 13. Thank you. And you may vote now. The article fails 417 to 20. Article 14, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 14 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action related thereto." The Select Board recommends Article 14 by a vote of 5 to 0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 14 by a vote of 6-0 to 1.
Any discussion on Article 14? Seeing none, we'll move on to the vote. This does require 2/3 vote to pass, and you may vote now. Article 14 passes 314 to 61. Thank you very much. That concludes the special town meeting. I would welcome a motion to close and adjourn the special town meeting.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Let's take a 2 or 3 minute recess so that you can stand up and stretch your legs if you would like. 3 minutes. We'll resume at 8:10.
Right? You should do that, right? Stealing more nuggets? Got those. Want one? Excuse me, sir.
You're welcome.
Pardon me.
We just lost 100 people. 100 people.
Hello, hello. All right. If everybody could find their seats, we'll resume in 30 seconds. Thank you. All right, thank you for your cooperation and the brief break. Moving on to the annual town meeting warrant at 8:10 on Monday, May 4th. Looking for a motion from Ms. Wyman-Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to dispense with the reading of the annual town meeting warrant articles.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Article number 1, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 1 as printed in the warrant with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action related thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 1 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 1 by a vote of 6-0.
Any discussion on Article 1? Hearing none, vote now. Article 1 passes 305 to 16. Article 2 is next. I want to just make a comment before that. It's not unusual that motions can differ somewhat from the article that you see in your blue book. What you'll hear in the motion by Select Board Member John Cotton contains many dollar amounts. Most of them are transferred from various town accounts, and they all add up to help fund the town manager's recommended budget that you find in detail on the following pages. So the net effect of all of the numbers that you're about to hear from Mr. Cotton, if you got out your calculator and added them up, would equal the bottom line of the town manager's recommended budget. Thought that might be helpful. Moving on to Article 2, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to fix the salaries of the elected officers as specified under the columns entitled Town Manager Recommendation in line items 2 and 22 of the omnibus budget, and further, the town defray the expenses for the ensuing fiscal year by appropriation of those amounts shown under column entitled Town Manager Recommendation. and that to fund said appropriation, the town raise and appropriate $77,754,467 and transfer from ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation account $955,240 to line item 40 and $271,753 to line item 41, and $6,054 to line item 78, and $43,566 to line item 76, $140 to line item 77, and wastewater infrastructure investment fund, $1,477,664 to line item 69, $72,559 to line item 70, shellfish receipts reserved for appropriation account, $30,000 to line item 32, waterways improvement fund of $32,000 to line item 31, cemetery receipts reserved for appropriation account $7,250 to line item 51, street betterment receipts reserved for appropriation of account $371,154 to line item 68, $84,625 to line item 70, septic betterment receipts reserved for appropriation account $25,690 to line item 53, and revenue available for appropriation of $2,200,000 to line item 76. Provided, however, that of all the amount raised in appropriation hereunder, the sum of $1,500,000 is expressly contingent upon approval by the voters at an election of the so-called Proposition 2.5 override question, allowing said sum to be raised outside the levy limit, and if the override question fails, that the amounts for each line will be reduced to the amounts set forth in the omnibus budget column entitled FY 2027 Budget with Reductions. And Select Board recommends approval of Article 2 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Don't say I didn't warn you. Motion has been made and seconded. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 2 by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. So it's been our practice during the few years that I've been the moderator to do the following with respect to the budget. I assume most of you, there are many versions of printed copies of the budget out there, newspaper, printed on your computer and so forth. I assume most of you have access to the Blue Book tonight, I'm guessing. So what we're going to do, I'll identify a range of line items on the pages that you see this budget on. And if anybody wants to address a particular line item, just shout out the word hold. I'll make a notation of that, and then when we've gone through all of the line items, we'll come back one by one and pick up on the ones that somebody wants more information about. Does that make sense? Okay. So let's, the version that I'm using is the one that's in the Blue Book, and it pretty much follows the pages, so I'm on page 21. Whether you have the Blue Book or not, we're going to start by looking at line items number 1 through 16. So if anybody wants one of those line items for further discussion, just say hold and the number. Hearing none, moving to the next page, 22, line items 17 through 39. No holds. The next page, line items 40 to 59. Hold 59. Next page. Just 59? Okay. Next page, lines 60 through 79. 76. All right. So let's go back to line item number 59. Whoever wanted to speak to that, please go to the microphone. And whoever wants to speak to number 76, be prepared to go to the microphone. And this would be a good time to remind everybody that if you do want to speak, no matter what it is you want to speak about, you must go to a microphone. I won't recognize you otherwise.
Richard Donovan, Pondview Drive. Mr. Moderator, I propose that the approximately $110,000 line item budget for item 59 be increased by $3,000. That $110,000 includes $2,000 that is allocated to the Mashpee Inclusion and Diversity Committee. That's a committee that is doing some great work here in Mashpee that is recognized across the state as one of the more progressive cities in the Commonwealth. So I would like to further support the work that MIDC, the Mashpee Inclusion and Diversity Committee, is doing to the tune of $3,000. Thank you.
So just so I understand it, you made that as a proposal, which to me suggests you'd like to have some dialogue about it. Does anybody care to comment on the gentleman's proposal? Mr. Town Manager.
If I'm hearing him correctly, he'd be reducing the salary of the Human Services Director. I'm not...
Clarification, sir. I meant to refer to line item 60. I saw Human Services for line item 59. I was addressing that budget, but the expense portion is on line item 60. So I propose that that be increased by $3,000.
All right, so I thought I heard 59.
I was going to question that when I noticed the distinction, too. So at this point, that is a proposal, not a proposed amendment. So let's move on to number 76, if we're done with that one. 76?
Don Myers, 9 Half-Hitch Lane. Can you explain to me the impact of passing the override versus not passing the override on the budget? Because when I listened to a presentation by the superintendent of the schools, there's a personnel reduction contemplated as a result of not passing the override. I can't tell if there is a similar impact anywhere on the town side, and with that, I would expect that there would be some adjustment in the estimated cost for benefits as a result of a decrease in headcount. If you could please explain that.
Mr. Town Manager.
Yes. If you go to the budget, which I believe you all have, you will see in one column my recommendation, which was also supported by the Select Board as well as the Finance Committee. The budget with reductions is a result of if the override did not pass. And specifically, there is a reduction in expenses for the smaller agencies and the larger agencies such as police, fire, DPW, and school. There is a significant more reduction because that is where the majority of the money is. As far as the specific reductions for the larger agencies, there is a number attached, but there is not a specific item. In other words, I'm not saying you've got to lay somebody off. I'm not saying you've got to reduce a certain line item. What I'm saying is this is the amount that I need if the override did not pass. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but as far as medical insurance is concerned, obviously, if there was not as many personnel, then yes, it is possible that there would be less medical insurance to pay for. There was an 8% increase this year. We were anticipating potentially a 25% increase. That didn't happen. I budgeted for 10 initially, and then it went down to 8%. So I don't want to anticipate layoffs, so we have to budget accordingly. Also, the town needs a little bit of flexibility, because if somebody's on a single plan, goes to a family plan, then we've got to have a little flexibility to accommodate. And just for your info, that medical insurance covers not just town staff, but also school staff.
So just to clarify, so the schools and their analysis of what would happen have determined what the impact would be. The town side has not at this point. Is that correct?
I'm not sure I heard you, Don.
So as I stated earlier, the school has estimated the impact of what not passing the override would be on the school staff and potentially programs. What you're telling me is the town has not done that analysis as of yet. Is that correct?
The town has identified the numbers that we need to balance the budget if the override did not pass. The school, I believe, it would be reduced by $687,580. I'm not determining how that is accommodated. Just like I didn't determine where it comes out of in terms of police, fire, and DPW.
If I could just inject here, I think I had that same question myself, but if you look at the line items on the budget, the DPW, the schools, police and fire, the line items on there do not have numbers in that last column. And that is to give, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Collins, that gives the department head or the school committee the discretion to determine how that shortfall gets applied. It doesn't necessarily translate into head count.
That is correct.
Further discussion.
Teresa Cook, Angelo's Way. I have a couple of observations or questions. First of all, I support this budget fully. I would like to ask the town manager, I believe that the budget as presented is a level services budget that was presented, correct?
That is correct, with the exception of the article pertaining to the additional personnel in wastewater, but that's separate.
Okay. And my other observation was, and I just realized this earlier today, that wastewater management is not included in the omnibus budget. Is that correct? It's a separate article, I believe 22, as an enterprise fund. Is that correct?
Yes, the town finance director can explain the specificity to that.
Well, that was just it. My biggest comment is I think people need to realize that you're working as hard as you can to provide the same level of services, and that in order to do that, we've reached where you've been predicting what was going to happen. You've been predicting we needed an override for the operating budget for many years, and now it's come to pass. I fully support this article.
Yes, ma'am.
Kathy Lewis, 44 Juniper Drive, and Chair of the Mashpee School Committee. I just want to clarify that we don't necessarily have a plan, but if this override does not pass, I did the math, Mr. Town Manager, and I got $756,000 and change as a reduction to our already reduced budget, which we presented level service, and we did have to reduce that, which we did so knowing what the town is facing in terms of other financial obligations. If this override does not pass, it will be devastating to our school district. We have not yet assessed fully where those cuts will occur, but if we were to look at salaries, for example, because that is usually the easiest one to look at, it would equate to about 6 teachers in our district, which that is, in a district as small as ours, going to have a severe impact. So I am fully in support of the town manager's proposed budget. I urge you all to please vote yes on this override. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Any further discussion on Article 2? So the motion that's on the floor is to approve the budget as you see it, totaling $83,332,162. Are we ready? Vote now. The town's operating budget for the coming fiscal year is adopted, 301 to 56. Article number 3, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to appropriate and transfer the total sum of $3,234,745 as follows. $605,000 from the ambulance receipts reserved for appropriation account, $2,415,445 from the capital stabilization fund, $115,000 from the recreation revolving fund, and $99,300 from the Chapter 90 fund to the various department capital accounts for the purposes and in the amounts as specified in the chart accompanying this article. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 3 by a vote of 4-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 3 by a vote of 5 to 1.
Thank you. Any discussion on Article 3? Hearing none, vote now. Article 3, the CIP budget is approved 306 to 39. Article number 4, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 4 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of the article by a vote of 5 to 0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 4 by a vote of 7-0.
Discussion on Article 4. Hearing none, vote now. Article 4 passes 299 to 33. Article number 5, Ms. Wyman-Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 5 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," to pay the cost items of the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Mashpee Permanent Firefighters Association, International Association of Firefighters, IAFF, Local 2519, for the period beginning July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 5 by a vote of 5 to 0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 5 by a vote of 7-0.
Any discussion on Article 5? Hearing none, vote now. Article 5 passes 299 to 27. Article 6, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 6 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," to pay the cost items of the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Mass COP Local 324 Unit A patrol officers and detectives for the period beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 6 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 6 by a vote of 7-0.
Any discussion on Article 6? Hearing none, you may vote now. Article 6 is passed 295 to 27. Article 7, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 7 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," to pay the cost items on the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Mass COP Local 324, Unit B, Sergeants, for the period beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 7 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 7 by a vote of 7-0.
Any discussion on Article 7? Seeing none, hearing none, please vote now. Article 7 is passed 270 to 30. Article 8, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 8 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," to pay the cost items of the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Mass COP Local 324, Unit C, police lieutenants, for the period beginning July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 8 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 8 by a vote of 7-0.
Any discussion on Article 8? Hearing none, please vote now. Article 8 passes 280 to 26. Article 9, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 9 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action related thereto," to pay the cost items of the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, Local 888, Unit A, Clerical/Library, for the period beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of the article by a vote of 3-0.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 9 by a vote of 7-0.
Any discussion on Article 9? Hearing none, please vote now. Article 9 passes 277 to 27. Article 10, Ms. Wyman-Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 10 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," to pay the cost items of the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, Local 888, Unit B, dispatchers, for the period beginning July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 10 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 10 by a vote of 7-0.
Discussion on Article 10. Hearing none, please vote now. Article 10 passes 239 to 23. Article 11, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 11 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," to pay the cost items of the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, AFL-CIO, Local 888, Public Works Unit A, for the period beginning July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 11 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 11 by a vote of 7-0.
Discussion on Article 11. Hearing none, please vote now. Article 11 is passed, 279 to 21. Article number 12, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 12 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto," to pay the cost items of the first fiscal year of the collective bargaining agreement between the town and the Service Employees International Union, SEIU, AFL-CIO, Local 888, Public Works Unit B, for the period beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 12 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 12 by a vote of 7-0.
Discussion on Article 12. Hearing none, please vote now. Article 12 is passed, 280 to 24. And the union member employees of the town of Mashpee, thank you. I'm not one, but I thank you anyway. Article 13, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 13 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 13 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 13 by a vote of 6-0.
Is there any discussion on Article 13? Hearing none, please vote now. Article 13 passes 303 to 24. Article 14, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 14 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of the article by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 14 by a vote of 6-0.
Thank you. Any discussion on 14? Hearing none, vote now. Article 14 passes 270 to 29. Article 15, Ms. Wyman Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 15 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 15 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 15 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on number 15. Hearing none. Vote now. Article 15 is passed 274 to 26. Article 16, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 16 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 16 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 16 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 16. Hearing none, please vote now. Article 16 is passed 254 to 21. Article 17, Mr. Cotton.
Moderator, I move the town vote to appropriate the sum of $975,742.66 to provide for road improvement projects in and for the town in accordance with the provisions of Chapter 90 of the Massachusetts General Laws, and to authorize the treasurer, with the approval of the Select Board, to borrow said sum of $975,742.66 under and pursuant to the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Sections 7 and 8, or any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds and notes of the town therefore.
The Select Board recommends approval of Article 17 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 17 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 17. Hearing none, please vote now. Number 17 is approved, 269 to 11. Article 18, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 18 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 18 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 18 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 18. Hearing none, please vote now. Article 18 passes 284 to 26. Article 19, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 19 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommend approval of the article by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 19 by a vote of 6-0.
Any discussion on Article 19? Hearing none, please vote now. Article 19 is passed 267 to 15. Article number 20, Ms. Wyman Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 20 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 20 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 20 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 20. Hearing none, please vote now. Article 20 passes 251 to 26. Article 21, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 21 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 21 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 21 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 21. Vote now. Not very talkative tonight. Article 21 is passed 275 to 20. Article 22, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 22 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto."
The Select Board recommends approval of Article 22 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 22 by a vote of 7-0.
Discussion on Article 22. Yes, ma'am.
Shauna Pitt, 30 Uncle Edwards Lane.
Could you get a little closer to the mic?
Oh, sorry. Shauna Pitt, 30 Uncle Edwards Lane. How many employees is this?
There's currently 3, this would be 4
So
in that department.
This is staff 4. And what is the projection or the forecast when we have complete wastewater rolled out through all of our phases on how large this department will have to be?
So it's anticipated that the town's subsidy will decrease in terms of it being self-sufficient in an enterprise fund, ultimately. Now, when exactly that projection is going to be, I'd probably defer to the wastewater superintendent, but I do know that revenues will increase based on the fee system. I'm sorry, I should have been acknowledged by the moderator.
Not a problem. Yes, sir.
Yes, how you doing? Jared Meter, wastewater superintendent. So it's an enterprise fund. You have 3 ways you can operate it. It's through a subsidy, which is currently what we're doing now because we do not have enough customers to currently run the operation. As we expand and get more people on, that subsidy will be reduced, and at some point we'll either level fund or we can budget for a surplus for planning for future projects, so that way it won't be a tax levy in the future. So as we expand, yes, there will be potentially additional staff. We're currently under contract operations to do that, which is the vast majority of our budget, but we hope to reduce that subsidy as Phase 2 comes online. If Phase 3 comes on, that'll reduce that amount of money. But the prediction after Phase 2 is about $1.6 million in revenue annually, which would reduce the tax levy down to about $300,000.
But ultimately, it's the
Louder,
us
closer.
paying for it because it'll be in our either water or sewer bill, correct?
Yes, ultimately, when we say generating revenue, so as we get more people on with the sewer bill, and that's one of the reasons why we voted and the boards voted, because if we were to charge the operation of the facility now, each sewer connection would run approximately $6,000 annually. Correct. Yeah, so as we do it, we'll reduce it, and then we won't be taking the tax levy in order to operate the facility, as well as we can then start paying back as we generate for a surplus the money that we have taken to this point. And that is the understanding, we're going to pay it back.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 22? Hearing none, please vote now. Article 22 is passed, 259 to 49. Article 23, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 23 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 23 by a vote of 5 to 0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 23 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 23. Hearing none, all those in favor, all those who wish to vote, do so now. Harking back to the old days. Article 23 passes 267 to 39. Article 24, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to authorize the treasurer with the approval of the select board to borrow the sum of $11,500,000 pursuant to General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 7 or 8, or any other enabling authority, and issue bonds and notes of the town therefore, and that said sum is appropriated for purposes of paying costs of HVAC upgrades at the Quashnet Intermediate School, including all other costs incidental and related thereto. As recommended by the Capital Improvement Program Committee, and the Select Board is authorized to take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out the project, provided, however, that this vote shall be expressly subject to and contingent upon approval by the voters of the town of a ballot question to exclude from the limitations of Proposition 2.5, so-called General Law, Chapter 59, Section 21C, the amounts required to pay the principal and interest on any bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness issued hereunder. The Select Board recommended approval of article by a vote of 5 to 0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 24 by a vote of 4 to 1.
Discussion on Article 24. Yes, ma'am.
Troon Way. I just need a clarification.
Could you please repeat the name? It didn't quite come through.
Jackie Shahood.
Thank you.
I just need a clarification as to why it's $11 million to upgrade an HVAC system. Does the school not have one at all, or is it a completely new installation that it's this much? Because I noticed in the next article that at the senior center it's only $500,000, and there's no explanation as to why this is so high. I just need a clarification on that.
Chair recognizes Ms. Lewis.
Hi, Kathy Lewis, 44 Juniper Drive, Chair of the School Committee. To answer your question, this project started out as an upgrade to the HVAC program as they worked on it. It was also air filtration and purification systems as well. As the engineering and design was done, it was noted that the electrical system would also need to be upgraded. When that happened, the project costs hit about 30% of the total cost of the building itself, which then triggers a need to upgrade the building code. The main portion of the Quashnet School was built, I believe, 1977, 1978, somewhere in that range. And at that time, fire suppression was not required to be installed in that building, which results in currently 80% of that building not having fire suppression. And we're talking classrooms, the cafeteria, the gymnasium. So, unfortunately, because of the need to do the work for the electrical to upgrade the air filtration system and HVAC, the fire suppression now needs to also be done, which is why we saw such a drastic increase in this cost. This is the third part of a three-part project that we've been working on. We completed the Coombs School first. We completed this building we're in currently, or it's in progress and almost near completion. The Quashnet School is the final phase of this upgrade project we've been working on for years. We've earmarked school choice funds and we've depleted our school choice account to help pay for as much of this project with school funds as possible. However, with this need to upgrade that building to the current building codes, that's unfortunately why this has gone up so high. But it is not just HVAC at this point, it is also now a safety issue for our students and faculty.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on Article 24? Yes, sir.
Patrick Flynn, Forest Drive. I'd like to remind everyone that 8 or 9 years ago, we transferred custodianship of the school buildings from the school committee to DPW. What that has caused is a huge cost of upgrading or finishing up all the deferred maintenance. The school committee, not the current school committee, the school committee in the past did a terrible job maintaining these buildings. The DPW has been trying for years to get them all caught up. I think we're fairly close to the end of that project, and I think it's important that remember, this is a town building. It's our building. It's cheaper to maintain than to replace. I urge you to vote yes on this article. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, let's vote. This does require a 2/3 vote. It involves borrowing, and please vote now. The 2/3 majority is achieved, 187 to 35. Article number 26, Mr. Whedon. 25, thank you.
Mr. Richardson.
Let's try that again. Article number 25, Ms. Wyman-Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town to authorize the treasurer with the approval of the select board to borrow the sum of $500,000 pursuant to general law, Chapter 44, Sections 7 or 8, or any other enabling authority, and issue bonds and notes of the town therefore, and that said sum is appropriated for the purposes of paying costs of replacing the HVAC system at the Mashpee Senior Center, including all other costs incidental and related thereto, as recommended by the Capital Improvement Program Committee and the Select Board is authorized to take any other action necessary or convenient to carry out the project, provided, however, that this vote shall be expressly subject to and contingent upon approval by the voters of the town of a ballot question to exclude from the limitations of Proposition 2.5, so-called GL, Chapter 59, Section 21C, the amounts required to pay the principal and interest on any bonds, notes, or certificates of indebtedness issued hereunder. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 25 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 25 by a vote of 4 to 3.
Any discussion on Article 25? Mr. Collins.
I would just like to point out that the town hopes to be able to use this as a potential shelter in case of the conditions that we saw this past winter with these upgrades. Thank you.
Thank you. Further discussion? This does require a 2/3 vote as well, and please vote now. And the 2/3 is achieved. The Article 25 is passed 233 to 30. And you may have noticed that in the future, the Mashpee Senior Center's name will morph to the Mashpee Active Living Center, as approved by the Select Board recently. And the town manager just made mention of another active living activity that'll happen there. So, Article number 26, Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 26 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 26 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 26 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 26. Hearing none, vote now. Article 26 is passed, 270 to 14. Article 27, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 27 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 27 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 27 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 27. Yes, sir.
It's Tim Martin in Russell Road in Mashpee, and on this 27, I'm assuming that much of this funding is for the annual dredging of Papaneset approach, and I'm hoping it's not impertinent to ask now, if there's anyone in the room that can comment on the status of Great River or Little River dredging in the future, or is it like, there's some funding here for permitting and engineering? Is that kind of thing going on with Great River or Little River at all at this point? Anyone that can comment?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Robert Tomano, the DNR Director and the Harbor Master. Mr. Martin, that article does include funding for permitting of the Little River Great River Dredge Project.
For Little River?
Yes, sir.
Okay, not Great River, right?
Little River and Great River. It's a dual project.
Funding for the engineering?
The permitting and engineering.
The permitting and
Correct.
engineering. Okay. All right, maybe I'll talk to you.
Sure.
Any further discussion on Article 27? Hearing none, please vote now. And Article 27 passes 271 to 18. Article 28, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 28 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 28 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 28 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 28. Hearing none, please vote now. Article 28 is passed, 232 to 41. Article 29, Mr. Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve an Article 29 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action related thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 29 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 29 by a vote of 5-1.
Is there any discussion on Article 29? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Sean O'Connor. I'm at 3 Acacia Way in Mashpee. As I was riding around town, I see so many signs for clean water, right? And I looked at every article. They're all very clear. I read it. I understand what it is. I read Article 29. I have no idea what that is. I read that thing. That looks like the terms of use for my credit card, right? I have no idea what the language in that You know, now, granted, I was an elementary school teacher, so I'm used to picking the language apart, but there are things in the other qualified entries, whatever deemed appropriate. It may be modified from time to time, more or less depicted. Now, I'm concerned about the language because of the project that this is attached to. When I read the summary, they say, who's not for open space? Of course, everyone is. Who's against clean water? None of us are against clean water. But the details on this plan and when the plan can be changed are entirely different, right? There's a lawsuit right now about this plan. When we came to town meeting and we voted on this plan, there was a map. And the map to the wastewater site went through John Ewer Road in Sandwich. Now, I went to all those meetings, months of them, and we were assured over and over and over that the town has a legal opinion and we can go through John Ewer. And access through Gunter's Lane was too dangerous, too expensive, off the table, not realistic. People voted for it in town meeting because everyone wants clean water. Then we go to the zoning board. I sit through a couple of those meetings at 4 in the afternoon, right? And you say, well, it's public because it's on YouTube. The zoning board just says, oh, that John Ewer, the residents sued, so you know you don't have access to your sewage treatment plant through another town on a private road. We're going to go through 0 Gunter's Lane. And you have a map, right? Looks like reading the Wall Street Journal from space with that map. It doesn't show the elevation, because that's the important thing on that map. You want to build an industrial road through a residential neighborhood to access your sewage treatment plant. That was approved by the zoning board. When the head of the zoning board said, we're not taking any more comments, you can post them, the lawyers have already argued it, we've used up our time, you can post your comments on the website. And they voted to change access from the thing that we voted on in town meeting. They voted to change access from John Ewer to bang, right through 0 Gunter's Lane. That is an elevation of about 60 feet from top to bottom. Anyone who's driven on Pimlico Pond Road, you go to the bottom of the Pimlico Pond, and then you go to the top. Gunter's Lane is at the top. The sewage treatment plant is at the bottom. What kind of road are you going to build at the end of a residential cul-de-sac? My concern is the language in these kind of proposals. Once we vote on it, you say, oh, that seems reasonable. That seems okay. And then you get into the individual meetings and you just change it. What's to prevent this kind of thing from happening in the future?
Let's see if we can get an answer to your pertinent question, which has to do with the 7 acres of land for a conservation restriction. In my opinion, not necessarily the placement of the access road. But please continue.
Thank you, Jeremy, Meter Wastewater Superintendent. Yes, that is correct. This article has nothing to do with the arguments that were just brought before you. It has to do with the fact that we're going to take the remaining land that will not be used for the wastewater project and have that put into conservation with a third-party stewardship, part of the Article 97 requirements. We're looking to collaborate with the Native Land Conservancy to ensure cultural access rights to that property going forward, as well as open use for town residents. So it's the hope to start bridging some gaps and do the project. So we're just following through with that commitment we made during that whole previous process to permanently preserve this land going forward.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Article 29? You may have a few seconds if you've not made your point yet.
I would say that that this project and the reclassification of open space land is directly tied to this project because there's a pending lawsuit. The residents of Sandwich and Pimlico Heights have sued the town. So to take the land and say, well, we're going to just change the way we look at the open space, it's a town legal opinion that we can do it. Well, the Sandwich residents have a legal opinion too. And you know what neither one of us have? A judge's ruling.
Thank you for your input. Any further discussion on this article? Hearing none, get your clickers out and please vote now. It does require a 2/3 vote. Vote now. Article 29 meets the 2/3 requirement. It's passed 199 to 90. Article 30, Ms. Wyman-Colombo.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 30 as printed in the warrant, with the exception of the phrase, "or take any other action relating thereto." The Select Board recommends approval of Article 30 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 30 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 30. Hearing none, please vote now.
Hello?
Sorry? Did not see you back there in the semi-darkness.
Yes, I apologize.
Don't vote now.
I'll be sure to read the rules the next time I come, for the first time I came up. So I apologize for that. Thank you. So this states that this is to assist people with failed Title V septic, if I'm correct, right? Correct, right?
Sorry, yes, Zach Seabury, the Health Director. So this is to participate in the continuing use of the Aqua
Could you
Fund.
speak up, please?
This is for the continued participation in Aqua Fund funding and the Community Septic Management Program. So yes, if you need assistance with upgrading a failed septic system, hooking up to sewer, and you've meet the qualifications that the Aqua Fund through the county requires, then you can go through that program. We've been using this since 1998, and in that, since 1998, the town of Mashpee has used been approved for about 5.5 million throughout the years for it. So each year, this is on the docket, just so that way we keep participating in it. If you think you can qualify, or you want to see if you qualify for it, I always tell everybody, reach out to the Aqua Fund and just see what you can do, see if you can qualify for it.
Again, this is being sold as 0% interest, correct? So again,
No, it's 5%.
Why does it say 0% loans?
It's for the town of Mashpee to assist the homeowners, but it's, the loans are available to homeowners at a 5% interest. That's through the Aqua Fund. That's their interest rate.
Where does the interest go to that's made off of these loans?
That's with the Aqua Fund.
So that just goes in so people can, again, it creates loans for the next folks?
Correct, correct.
Okay, so nothing is mentioned in here about individuals that were having to remove their septics that were not failed. So again, I wonder what the way you're selling it is 0% interest, and I agree with the last individual that was up here speaking. You know, I see the signs out in the street where it says, you know, do you believe in clean water? Of course, I'm all for that. But the way it came out in phase 1 was very unclear. And if you want people to go to different sites and things like that, it should be known to them. Additionally, so you're asking people to vote for this stuff, but this is something to help people with failed Title V septics. What's there to help the folks that are being forced out of septics?
Well, this you can also try with the Aqua Fund and see if they will do that. I'm not in charge of sewer hookups, so that's why I do Title V's. Sewer hookup, you can reach out to Aqua Fund, and I always tell everybody, reach out to Aqua Fund, see if you do qualify for assistance with the sewer hookup.
So it's a qualification, so then not everybody will get the loan, correct?
No, it's a qualification through the Aqua Fund, correct.
Copy. Thank you.
Further discussion on this article? Hearing none, please vote now. Article 30 passes 250 to 21. Article 31. Everybody here, when you checked in, should have been handed Article 31. That's somewhat different than what's printed in the Blue Book. If you don't have it and need it, you might find somebody sitting near you to have it, but it should become clear as the motion is made. I'll call on Mr. Whedon.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 31 with the following amendment.
Yeah. Move closer. Oh.
There it is. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 31 with the following amendment. In use table I.5 to insert the sentence, rentals as an accessory use shall require exclusive occupancy by an owner, host, or other natural person who has the legal right to occupy the dwelling unit of either A, not less than one bedroom on a year-round basis, or B, of the entire dwelling for not less than 8 cumulative months of the calendar year. After the sentence, renting an existing dwelling on a short-term or long-term basis, and with the exception of the phrase, or take any other action relating thereto. The Select Board recommends approval of Article 31 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of the amended Article 31 by a vote of 6-0.
And Planning Board.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator. Mary Wagon, Chair of the Planning Board. After a public hearing on April 15th, 2026, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend that town meeting approve Article 31 as amended.
Any discussion on Article 31? Yes.
Hi, I'm Julie Silver. I'm at 46 Little Neck Lane. I just have a couple of questions that I'm looking to get clarified with regard to this. How many rental certificates for short-term are there in Mashpee? Does anybody know?
The answer may be behind you.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Brian Tobin, Town Planner. My understanding is there's a little over 400.
So if this passes and individual homes, individual residences, can no longer be short-term rentals, if somebody currently owns one and has a certificate and they sell their property, does that attach to the property?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Brian Tobin, Town Planner. The way the town intends to approach that is we'll honor the rental certificate.
So there will be no more than 400, correct? Yeah. Right.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Brian Tobin, Town Planner. Effectively unless and until the town does a comprehensive overhaul of its regulatory framework for short-term rentals.
So
Mr. Tobin, because the questioner doesn't have to introduce herself each time, nor do you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Brian Tobin, I won't introduce myself again.
We got it.
I know who he is now. And so I guess I also am just looking for a little clarification, because my understanding is that there is a case that just came down in the land courts in September, Balser versus Zoning Board, that actually prohibited the way that, and this is, I believe this is the reason why this is changing, that prohibited the way that short-term rentals were being handled. You couldn't do it as a full residence. So my question is, if this case is on appeal, would it make sense to address it when it went through the whole system?
So regarding this, I'm hearing two questions in that. The first is, yes, it is a reaction to a land court judgment, and it is in particular that decision. So the implications of which are, if you don't vote yes on this, now you run the risk of all of the rental certificates being wiped out, and that having serious implications for tax revenues for the town. And I think the idea and the understanding is To the degree we're being reactionary now, we are also being proactive in the sense that we'd rather not wait for an appeals decision to come down and just kind of button it up now.
And just one more question. If a dwelling unit is considered an ADU, and in the modified version here, it said that the rentals as an accessory use shall require exclusive occupancy by an owner, host, or other natural person. And maybe somebody needs to help me on this one, but in Massachusetts, an ADU unit doesn't have to have occupancy by the owner. Is that correct? So if this falls under the ADUs, does that mean the owner still has to be on the property?
We should just do a duet. You be June Carter, I'll be Johnny Cash. The accessory use provision actually doesn't apply to accessory dwelling units. I know that sounds odd, but it's accessory use for your primary dwelling. So the accessory dwelling units are governed under separate provisions. Just when we were getting warmed up.
Yeah. Thank you both. That was very informative. Anybody else? Yes, Mr. Collins.
I just want to point out to the audience that this came before the planning board after consultation with legal counsel.
Hearing no further request for comment, you may vote now. Does require 2/3. Article 31 passes 203 to 31. Article 32, Mr. Cotton.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I move the town vote to approve Article 32 as printed in the warrant with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto."
The Select Board recommends approval of Article 32 by a vote of 5-0.
Second.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 32 by a vote of 7-0.
And Ms. Wagon from the Planning Board.
Thank you. Mary Wagon, Chair of the Planning Board. After a public hearing on April 15th, 2026, the Planning Board voted unanimously to recommend that town meeting approve Article 32.
Any discussion on Article 32? Good thing there aren't too many more here. I'm going to lose my voice. So, all right, we are prepared to vote now. 2/3 required. Article 32 passes 198 to 28. The last two articles on our warrant today are petition articles. Article number 33, I believe, will be introduced by Mr. Ginsburg.
Thank you. I move the town approve Article 33 as written in the warrant with the exception of the phrase "or take any other action relating thereto."
Select Board.
Select Board recommended approval of Article 33 by a vote of 5-0.
Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee does not recommend approval of Article 33 by a vote of 6-0.
Discussion on Article 33. Mr. Ginsburg.
Thank you. I'm Larry Ginsburg, 191 Timber Lane Drive. The fur industry is cruel, inhumane, and unnecessary. Millions of animals, fox, chinchilla, mink, raccoon dogs are killed every year for fur coats and accessories. I never even heard of a raccoon dog until I started looking into this. They're not raccoons, but they look like them. They have beautiful fur. They're an invasive species and not allowed in the United States, but we still allow their fur to be sold. The fur industry confines these animals to 4x2 wire cages from the time they're born till the time they're electrocuted. And I don't like to say this, but they're electrocuted anally and vaginally to preserve their fur. Fur farms are incubators for disease that can be contracted by humans. My expert, with the town's permission, will talk for a couple minutes about the environmental and ecological problems with the industry. Article 33 prohibits the sale of new fur products in Mashpee. Just to be clear, it doesn't stop anyone, even anybody on the Finance Committee, from wearing a fur coat. Wool, leather, and the use of fur by Native Americans is not banned. The Wampanoag Tribal Council unanimously supports this bylaw. No businesses in Mashpee sell fur now, so no businesses are hurt. But Mashpee, Massachusetts is the third largest fur retailer in the country. 8 towns have already banned fur sales. Let's do the right thing and make Mashpee the 9th. The Select Board voted 5-0 to recommend Article 33. Please vote yes on Article 33.
Further discussion on Article 33.
Hello?
Oh, over here.
Jessica Wender-Shubo, 22 Crescent Road. I'm up here to support this article. I live on John's Pond. I looked out my window and saw 2 beautiful foxes recently. I was reminded of lessons from my dad, who in the 1970s, as part of the legal team for the tribe, was able to teach me about the thousands of years of stewardship about which the tribe deserves honor and respect. And this is a tremendous opportunity for Mashpee to really reinforce what is special about the history of this place by going on the record as making a distinction between stewardship of the natural world and animals and this brutal, profit-making, vicious industry. So I hope you'll join me in supporting this.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Joe O'Hare, 5 Friendship Court. I just want to say, there's no fur industry in this town selling new fur. Why are we even discussing this? I think this is a stupid proposal that doesn't need to be done, and if you vote yes for this, you're going to encourage more of these type of proposals. I'm voting no to prevent this type of thing from happening. Thank you.
Further discussion. Yes, ma'am.
I think you need to get me approved to speak.
If you could give us your name and the town that you live in.
Kara Holmquist. I live in Needham, Massachusetts.
The speaker is a proponent of the article who does not live here or vote here. It's our custom to allow out-of-town speakers to speak with the permission of the audience. So if you have if you approve of her speaking, please raise your hand now. Anybody opposed? That looked like a very clear majority. You may go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Kara Holmquist. I work at the Massachusetts Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the second oldest humane society in the United States. Locally, we have a shelter in Centerville, and we also do a lot of community outreach programs in the area to help people stay together with their pets and provide vaccinations and food when people are facing hard times. I have been involved with the 8 other cities and towns that have passed the similar measure, and just want to point out that there's been no problems with enforcement, there's been no cost to the towns, they've been approved by the Attorney General, and many of those other municipalities have also done this proactively. They've really wanted to make a statement that they are a humane community. I want to just follow up on Larry's comments. Yes, it's a horrible, horrible industry. The animals are stuck in small cages with wire bottoms. If you've ever seen any footage, They move back and forth, and these behaviors that happen when they're caged like that. But in addition to the animal issues, there's also public health considerations, disease spread, COVID, the animals can spread that and create new variants. 20 million, I think, had to be killed in Europe because of the disease spread. And also the environmental impacts are really bad. Fur is, per kilogram, the most negative environmental type of fashion. So it also, the tanning process is horrible. It uses carcinogens like formaldehyde to create and preserve the product. So for all of those reasons, I want to thank you for your time and thank Larry and hope that Mashpee will vote to become the 9th municipality in Massachusetts to pass this. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Donna Brown, 37 Red Cedar Road. I understand what you're saying about, let's say, producing these things, but when we look, we are a community, Mashpee Commons, we've got Marshalls. They sell fur-lined gloves. They sell fur earmuffs. These are small items, not fur coats, but they do have trimmed fur on their parkas. Now, when you're trying to enforce this, are we going to be going into Marshalls and arresting them and closing the shops? It just seems that that's my question about it.
Is there an answer to that question, briefly?
Yes, there's a fine specified in the law, and it's enforced by the police department. To my knowledge, I checked, there are no businesses in Mashpee that sell fur.
Yes, ma'am.
Michelle Brum, 96 Old Colony Drive. I don't understand why we would need a bylaw like this. If you don't want to own a piece of clothing that has fur on it, don't purchase it. I'm so afraid that you start with something like this, then there won't be, you can't buy a leather coat, you can't carry a leather handbag, you can't wear a leather wallet or belt. Or maybe then you'll go on to say, okay, it's inhumane to kill the meat we eat, the fish we eat, the chickens and the eggs we eat. I really don't think we need a bylaw. I think if people don't want it, they don't buy it.
Is there further discussion? Mr. Gottlieb.
Steve Kelly,
No,
30
not
Uncle O's Road. Very briefly, I would agree with some of the folks that spoke earlier, and I support the Finance Committee's view that this is a legal product in terms of the U.S. or Massachusetts. Where does it stop? Read a story in the Globe yesterday about now this foie gras protest in Boston restaurants pounding on the window as people are eating a product which is legal but which they find reprehensible that it's available. So I would just say with the other folks who spoke earlier, this is a very, very slippery slope to start on. I could just imagine there are people that are horrified that a lobster is thrown in a pot of boiling water. I mean, where do we go? Thank you.
Sorry, I misidentified you. In the partial darkness over there, I'm sure you've been called worse. I'm not sure of that, but I'm speculating. Give you the benefit of the doubt. All right, before I dig myself a deeper hole here, does anybody else have any comment on this article? Hearing none, please vote now. Article 33 fails by a vote of 133 to 115. Article 34, Mr. Reed, I believe.
Hey, Michael Anthony.
I move that the town vote to approve Article 34 as printed in the warrant.
Could I ask what town you're from?
52 Massasoit Ave.
Okay, do you
Mashpee.
have a clicker?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Could you make your motion again, please?
I move that the town vote to approve Article 34 as printed in the warrant.
Is there a second?
Second.
Select Board.
Select Board voted to take no action on Article 34.
And Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. The Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 34 by a vote of 5-1.
Discussion.
Madash Strickland. Oh.
The gentleman over here who made the motion, are you going to be the first speaker?
He can go. He can proceed.
All right.
Take your pick.
I'll
Either
go.
one of you may start.
All right. Right now, Mashpee is one of the only towns on Cape Cod that doesn't have an effective enforceable bylaw to deal with excessive dog barking. This proposal is modeled after Dennis's bylaw, so it's not something new and untested. It's already working in a neighboring town. As the law stands today, a dog can bark from 3 a.m. to 3:14 a.m. in the morning, go inside for a couple minutes, and then come back out and start barking again, and that's not considered a violation. That's the kind of gap this is meant to fix. This isn't about normal dog behavior. Dogs bark, and that's expected. And this won't affect reasonable dog owners at all. This only applies in situations where barking becomes excessive and inconsiderate to the people living nearby. What this does is create a clear, reasonable standard so issues can actually be addressed fairly and consistently. Thank you.
Further discussion? Yes.
Mr. Moderator, Madash Strickland, M. Oakley Mills Way. I appreciate your knowledge for the background. I have had the opportunity to live in this homelands for my entire life. I am Mashpee Wampanoag, and I've had the ability to build a home within my homelands. And over the past 10 to 15 years, my family has had quite issues with the residents on Sunset Road, because there is a kennel at this residence. And at my home on Emma Oakley Mills Way, every night, myself and my children are disrupted by these dog barkings. A year ago in April, I did challenge the Board of Health and the kennel license to get this changed. The Board of Health at first ignored my request as I filled out a petition, and then I had brought it to the bylaws of the town that once you file this petition, that a hearing needs to be heard. The hearing was heard, and the Board of Health recommended that the times change for the dogs being able to bark to stop at 9:30 p.m. and they may resume at 6:30, and the dogs were to be escorted out by the owner. I have subsequently called the police department non-emergency line numerous times to report the incidents of these dogs continuing to bark, and I am told by the dog officer, who is a very kind gentleman and has spoke with me many a days, that unfortunately if you do not record for 15 minutes, your call is invalidated. And unfortunately, at 2 o'clock in the morning with 3 children as a single mom trying to function in this society, it's kind of disheartening to go out in the middle of a snowstorm to have to record for 15 minutes and me get to 13 minutes and then me be discredited. I've done this on numerous occasions, and it's really heartbreaking that no matter what outcry I do, I'm being ignored. I even most recently reached out to the town manager. He was great, and he had referred me to the Lieutenant Nash. I had a great conversation with him. He also is in support of this article, as well as the animal control officer. They are trying to do their job, and they're trying to support this town, because as well as if you look at the dog fines, even if a dog gets out of their property and they're not leashed, it's a $25 fine. My daughter is 5 years old, and these dogs came in my yard and knocked her off her bike the first day she learned how to ride her bike. She was scared, and every time she hears these dogs barking in our yard, she's petrified to go out of her home and to enjoy this wonderful land that is our people, our Mashpee Wampanoag land. So I urge you to support this and to support the fact that we deserve peace in our homes. I respect the fact that you have a dog, and I respect your companionship, but please respect others and their peace and sanity as well.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, vote now. Article 34 passes by a vote of 210 to 39. So just briefly before we adjourn, a reminder that if you have not voted already by mail or early voting, the polls are open this Saturday, from 7 to 8 p.m., 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Some of the actions we took tonight are dependent upon your going to the polls. I'd also like to acknowledge Jamie Shue, who's been a two-term member of our Finance Committee, who has opted to get back to her other life and is retiring. So thank you for your service. And I would welcome a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Have a good evening, everyone. Even before 10 o'clock, let alone 2 nights.